regular board meeting for ALCOSAN. Today is October the 26th. I had to make sure I was saying the right date, 2023. We will begin with the pledge.
Mary Reedshaw. Darren Kelly,
Here.
Paul Klein,
Here.
Dr. Tharp Gilliam.
Present.
Yes.
I am here. Having trouble. I'm here.
Miss Sylvia Wilson.
Here.
Emily. Oh. Oops. I did what
I was gonna say, did I miss me? I'm here.
PK. She's here. Just talk to us. She's here. All right. Thank you. We had an executive session just prior to today's board meeting. No votes are taken during executive sessions. Are there any public comments today? Thank you so much. Well, then we'll move right on ahead and we'll have a report on the wet weather plant expansion update. Risha. What's the notice I wasn't trying to say? What's the wet anything else? Risha Shaw.
Hey, Madam Chair, members of the board, executive director, and everyone present here today. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on ALCOSAN's planned expansion program. My name is Richa Shah, and I'm a water engineer with Arcadis, who is the program manager. I've had this incredible opportunity of being associated with this program in multiple ways for the last few years. I was first introduced to it at the open house in 2017. Then I worked on it as an intern at ALCOSAN in the summer of 2018. And eventually when I joined Arcadis, I worked with the program manager team and have been working on this program for the last approximately 5 years. Hey, what it is. So the planned expansion is one of the 4 components of ALCOSAN's clean water plan. The current permitted treatment capacity is 250 million gallons per day, or MGD. The proposed upgrades under this program will increase the primary wet weather treatment capacity to 600 MGD and the secondary treatment capacity to 295 MGD. These are the 9 projects that we have under this program, and I will go into these projects a little bit in detail in the coming slides, but the packaging and sequencing of these projects were done to minimize impacts and not to overwhelm the ongoing activities, since the treatment plant works on a 24/7 basis. It is active and operates throughout. And yet at the same time, we needed to make sure that the phasing of construction is done so we can maintain compliance with the consent decree milestones. So the first milestone under the consent decree that we had was to increase the plant capacity to 480 MGD by the end of 2025. And the projects highlighted here are necessary to be complete so that we can achieve this milestone. These projects include the North End Plant Expansion Project, the East End Works, the CSO Bypass and Disinfection Project, and the VAS thickening. The second milestone under the consent decree is to increase the treatment capacity to 600 MGD by the end of 2029. So the wet weather pump station, as well as the primary sedimentation tanks, these projects need to be complete by then to achieve this milestone. That brings us to today, the current status of these projects. The first one we have is the parking garage. It is complete and being used on a daily basis today. The North End Facilities project is under construction. As part of this project, we have 2 new final settling tanks, one on the east and one on the west. And we also have a final disinfection tank as part of this project. The East Headworks is also under construction. It is a new building that houses bar racks and grid tanks. And it also includes an influent channel that will connect to the existing main pump station and the future wet weather pump station. It's going to look very similar to the existing West Headworks facility that we have. The lab is also under construction. This project was required so we can actually create space for 2 new primary sedimentation tanks that are going to go just north of where we are today. So the existing lab facility needed to be relocated to a different location. The CSO bypass and disinfection construction contract has already been awarded. And my guess is it's going to ramp up really quickly in the near future. We also have 2 projects that are in design right now. The solid thickening and dewatering project, as well as the wet weather pump station. We have 2 renderings on this slide that shows the wet weather pump station. However, the building might look a little different. The design is still in its early stages, and the final design consultant is working with ALCOSAN to make sure we have some good architectural concepts that are evaluated. That brings us to the last project, which is the primary sedimentation tanks. And I believe that is under consideration for award for design at the board meeting today. So as a whole, under the program, about 39% of the work has already been completed. About 57% of the work under the construction contracts that have been awarded is also complete. And about the value of work completed brings out to be a little bit more than $205 million. We also have 2 projects that are very close to being complete, hopefully before the end of this year. Those projects are the electrical distribution systems upgrade and the RAS project. Again, the CSO bypass and disinfection project is going to go into construction really soon. Now I want to talk a little bit about the paths that the wastewater takes once it enters the treatment facility. So today the flow path looks a little bit like this. So the flow comes into the main pump station. It goes into the existing West Headworks, which houses the bar racks and the grit tanks, and makes its way into the primary sedimentation tanks. After that, the wastewater flow goes into what we refer to as the secondary treatment processes. So first, it goes into the aeration basins, and that's where the bugs clean the water, and then makes its way into the final settling tanks. As a last step, the wastewater comes to the existing disinfection tank where the flow gets disinfected before it is discharged to the Ohio River via the existing outfall. As I mentioned before, under the program, we are increasing the secondary treatment capacity to 295 mgd. So for flows up to 295 mgd, this is how the flow path will look like for the wastewater entering the treatment plant. It still comes into the main pump station, then it can go to the West Headworks or the East Headworks. It will make its way to the primary sedimentation tanks into secondary treatment processes, just like before. But here's the change. The wastewater will continue to flow into the new final disinfection tank where the wastewater will get disinfected before it goes out into the Ohio River through the new outfall that is being constructed at the north of the plant. I want to focus a little bit on this area right here. That is going to be the spotlight of our presentation moving forward. And this is what I will refer to as the secondary effluent conduit. So essentially, the treated wastewater from the final settlement tanks makes its way into the secondary effluent conduit to reach the final disinfection tank for disinfection. Now, the flow paths that we just saw, that was for flows up to 295 mgd. This is how the flow path will look like for flows above 295 mgd up to 600 mgd. So it looks very similar till it reaches the primary sedimentation tanks. After that, however, the flow will be diverted to the existing disinfection tank, which under the program is being reconfigured to act as a bypass disinfection tank. This is where the flow will get disinfected and will be discharged into the Ohio through the new relocated outfall. Okay, we're gonna shift to the spotlight now. As part of the North End project, we are extending the existing secondary effluent conduit to reach the final disinfection tank. So the gray area here represents the existing infrastructure, and the greenish color refers to new construction. Now, in order to begin constructing this extension of the secondary effluent conduit, we needed to put a temporary bulkhead right at this tie-in point between the green and the gray. In order to put in this temporary bulkhead, we needed to shut down the secondary treatment processes temporarily. This was successfully done in December 2022, and the shutdown lasted approximately 3 days. Just a quick recap, right? The existing flow path goes from the main pump station into the primary sedimentation tanks, into secondary treatment, the flow gets disinfected, and then out to the Ohio. However, during the shutdown, just for these 3 days, the flow did make its way to the primary sedimentation tanks, but this is where we disinfected the flow as well. And rather than going into our secondary treatment processes, the flow was discharged to the Ohio through the existing outfall, fully disinfected. So again, this was done so we could put the temporary bulkhead in and begin the construction of this secondary effluent conduit extension so that the treated flow can reach the new final disinfection tank. This is just to give you a little snapshot of what it looked like before the shutdown and after the shutdown, and it puts things into a little bit of perspective. This location right here is that tie-in point between the gray and the green. The concrete wall was removed, and these temporary bulkheads were installed all in the duration of those 3 days. This is a time lapse of the construction of this extension of the secondary effluent conduit since the shutdown. I hope that puts things into a little bit of perspective. But collaboration was absolutely key in implementing the secondary shutdown in a successful manner. We had 9 workshops before the shutdown actually happened, so we could make sure that all questions are addressed and all concerns are addressed as well. Several field tests were also conducted to make sure that all the processes, equipment, everything works the way we hope it would work during the shutdown. All of that led to more than 500 hours of brainstorming, problem solving, and knowledge sharing to make sure that we still comply with our permit, even though the secondary system is shut down. Multiple stakeholders were also involved and engaged, including 3 departments at ALCOSAN and a high degree of involvement from O&M staff. And soon we will be kicking off these workshops once again in preparation for the next secondary shutdown to remove that temporary bulkhead. So the circle continues. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I think I just saw a picture there when you shut down, and went directly cleaned, disinfected it there. So to do those 3 days of work, and that's when we bought food for the bugs last year. So our bugs couldn't die. It all makes sense. I mean, you explained it to us last year, but it's a better picture. It's we had to buy this food, so our little bugs would still keep living, okay. It's All right, thank you. That was a real good presentation. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on now to the report on the 2023 operating costs and revenues as compared to the budget, which is Exhibit A, and Ms. Karen Fentoni. Feel free, run us
Thank you.
through there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to report that as of the end of September, we are 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year already. Time is just flying by. As of that time, we had expended about 70%, not quite 70% of our operating budget, and had collected about 82% of our revenues. Again, the big fluctuation there with the revenue side is interest income. As we talked earlier, interest rates are higher than what we had anticipated, and so we are earning more on our savings than what we had anticipated. So we are continuing to operate in a good financial manner. Any questions?
I'm not seeing anyone asking any questions, so we'll move on. Item D is capital budget status report as per Exhibit B, and this is Ms. Fontaine.
Thank you. So I haven't shared a capital budget status report since July because of the August break, but you know, it's been a busy 3 months. We've spent over $55 million in capital since the July report. I mean, a lot of what Rusha showed, obviously, and then the design of the Ohio River Tunnel and the some of the projects and the planning that we've advanced for that work. So this is a status of everything that we have going on with respect to our capital budget, and I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody had any.
I thought Shannon was asking a question, but not, she's not. All right, thank you. All right, item E is a report of actions by the executive director and approval of construction change order less than 30,000. This corresponds to Exhibit C. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair. Each of the three is a credit. The first is associated with the North End plant expansion. It seems strange to explain to you that it was recognized that we did not have to coat the manhole lining all the way up with the most expensive material, only, what was it, 4 feet?
Yeah.
Up, and the rest, something else could be used. That's a key part of this credit. In addition to having a damaged sluice gate replace the valve with that. The rest of it, I think we went from water controllers for the hoist to water controllers. Bless you. The second one, it's again for credit for our emergency telephone contract. Associated with the energy system. As we've discussed many times, unused quantities result in a credit, fairly straightforward. The third, again, as stated, a credit, this is for the cast in place rehab of the song run. It's a combination of additions and deletions that ultimately result in a credit. We had some permitting issues that were completely unanticipated that pushed the entire project back, I believe, about 8 months.
Correct. Yeah, about 6 months, yes.
Which then pushed it into a completely different time of year. We had weather impacts, created multiple inefficiencies, but we're pleased that this is a final and it's a credit.
It's kind of unusual to have 3 credits. Nice size. We'll move into our action items. We'll start with the approval of the board minutes from September 28th.
Motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I heard everyone's aye. This is asked for any ways. They are approved. Item B is to consider authorizing payment of the invoices that are in excess of 20,100. And this goes according to Exhibit B. Ms. Williams.
The board has had opportunity to review this list. If you have questions about specific invoices, we will be pleased to respond.
No questions here.
No questions.
Yeah, and typically people would have questions prior to the board meeting as a rule. Typically. Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Were you able to record you said that? You got it, you got it? All right, thank you. All right, it is approved. Item D is a motion. No, I didn't do it. I did see, I'm trying to skip ahead. We have a lot on the agenda today. I'm sorry. Item C is a motion to authorize the preparation of specifications and advertisement for bids for the following contract, which we see on Exhibit E. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, the first is the chemical contract. Sodium hypochlorite is what we use for odor control, having many years ago replaced liquid chlorine. Thank God. The second contract, the Ohio River contract. People, just take this moment and breathe it in. It is here after decades of work. Informing, educating, begging, pleading, groveling, explaining. I started with education. That's what we did. And once I had to grovel, I groveled. That's what you have to do sometimes. And this is the result. A lot of work by many people, some of whom have moved on in their careers. Those who have picked up the baton, they're going to take it forward. Typically, you receive an explanation that was very much like what I gave you for hypo. Can't do that for a tunnel, let alone the first tunnel. So the director of engineering and construction is going to give you a presentation. Kim, please.
All right, thank you, Arletta. The Ohio River Tunnel, let's just call it contract 1797 from now on. I mean, Arletta, explained it, but decades in the making, a huge milestone, a lot of work, and we're pretty excited about this next step. So this is the overall concept of what the project is going to look like. We've got the main leg of the tunnel. It's an 18-foot finished diameter. It'll start up at AS1, what we call AS1. And it'll come down all the way to the plant at 027. That's where we'll take it out. The red bullseye is where we're at right now. That's the treatment plant. And we've got two river crossing tunnels, the Chartiers Creek Tunnel and the Sawmill Run Tunnel. So what you can take from this graphic is that anything shown in green, it dashed in green, is 150 feet deep, underground, with no surface disruptions. The only time that the public and that we will see construction being disrupted is these pink circles. So the pink circles indicate our near surface facilities. We've got two over in Hughes Rocks, and the rest of them are located in the city of Pittsburgh. So at a high level, here we are, we've got about 5.5 miles of total tunneling length, divvied up as such. Obviously, the main leg of the Ohio River Tunnel is our biggest diameter at 18 feet. The dewatering tunnel is going to take the flow from that upstream shaft at 027 and convey it over to the wet weather pump station. And the wet weather pump station will be bid as a separate contract. But they will work obviously together. And then we've got 4 adits. Adits are connector sewers that are connection tunnels, really, all 7-foot diameter in this case, that will take the flow from the regulator and get it over to the drop shaft. And then we've got our 2 14-foot diameter tunnels, the Chartiers Creek and the Sawmill Run. So that's our project at a high level. We also have 8 deep shafts. We have 2 access shafts and 6 drop shafts. They range in diameters from 25 to 70 feet, and they range in depth from 125 feet to 160 feet. And the diameter is sized according to the flow from the upstream sewer shed. So they've been all sort of uniquely sized and designed depending on where they're located and what types of flows that they're anticipated to receive. In addition to the tunnels and the adits, we've got the flow structures, the regulators, outfalls. We've got 10 flow regulators that we anticipate, 2 control buildings where we'll have to have some gates for some flow control, and then 1 river wall. That's our river wall that Rich talked about, but we'll have another one just upstream in one of our near surface facilities. So in summary, you know, we've got the site prep that will be required for all the property and the near surface facilities, and then tremendous amount of excavation for the tunnels and adits, for the deep shafts, and for the near surface facilities, including the regulators. And then we've got a couple permanent structures, and we've got a control system in place so that we know exactly what's going on in the tunnel, and we can prep the plant for what storms are happening and what's coming to us. And then, of course, we'll make sure that the sites are restored, and we'll do some testing and commissioning. So here we are right now. We've completed the 60% design, where the team is moving forward to 90% design. We would expect to complete the design the middle of next summer, bid it 3rd quarter of next year, so that we're in a position to start construction in January of 2025. And then we'll be in construction of our first tunnel in a long time, between 2025 and 2029. So if anybody asks, it's contract 1797, and I'm happy to take the questions. But that's our hire for the tunnel. So,
I don't believe we have any questions, because we've kind of covered this. But I will ask for a motion and a second to approve, please.
It's an honor to make this motion for sure.
Yes, this is an honor to second.
Before.
Yes.
Move forward, we touch base briefly. Sometimes as engineers, we get kind of caught up in the tech side of it. However, the average person is not going to be privy to any of that. They're only going to know what they see, what they experience, which will be like Kim.
in your surface facilities. So that is the pink circles that I showed in the overflow or the overview slide. That is the only thing that people will see. And otherwise, that tunnel is just gonna bore along and we'll know where it is, but nobody else will.
Unless you have X-ray vision. All right, we did have a motion and a second. Could I please hear how many of you will approve this? By saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Ayes have it. It is approved. Finally, yay. Too bad we should have had some streamers of balloons. Long time coming, long time. All right, we're going to move to item D, is a motion to approve the following change orders that exceed $30,000, and this goes according to Exhibit F. And we have 2. Ms. Williams, I'll let you explain.
Madam Chair, these were both associated with the East Head Works right here behind us, that's we should have pointed out the first is for the electrical portion. And it is associated with additional heat tracing that was required. We had to up the power for to supply the heat tracing, which required an additional transformer. That's a lot of heat. That's all I'm saying. The second one is for the general. The general was required to upgrade the rebar associated with more concrete, more sidewalk. Great changes, great changes.
And necessary, obviously. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it, making this clear. Item E, F, and G are items that were presented at the Professional Services Committee meeting that was held on October the 19th. The committee recommended for this to be brought forth to the regular board meeting. Item E is a motion for, it is for coloring outside the lines for an amount not to exceed $3,500, and this is for customer service training. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, as we shared for professional services, customer service is a key aspect of our vision to become a first-class organization. We have not had formalized customer service training for quite some time. We would like to begin a process with our customer service and billing group and our security group, because for many of you, not just you, everybody that comes there first, people they encounter. They do a very good job. Kudos to Stacy and crew. We get so many compliments about our security staff. However, we can be better, and again, we can formalize this process. That is what this piece provides for.
Okay, thank you. If there are no questions, but I have a motion and a second to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is approved. Item F is a motion to award the final design of the primary sedimentation tanks and to authorize our executive director to negotiate a fee. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, we just want to be clear, this is being awarded to HDR since you skipped that.
I'm sorry.
Exception.
Being awarded to HDR.
Okay, to HDR, which is in keeping with what was presented to the Professional Services Committee. The Director of Engineering and Construction is chafing at the bit to have an opportunity to speak again. Talk about it, Kim.
This is a great project. This is our last wet weather plan expansion design project. So as long as we've waited for the plan expansion, it's almost hard to believe that this is the last package that we'll be putting out for it to complete, to get up to 600 million gallons per day. So we had a careful, robust procurement experience. We had interviews, we had a really thoughtful evaluation, and we're comfortable bringing the recommendation for HDR to the board.
Thank you. Right, hearing no questions, seeing no hands raised, but I have a motion and a second to approve, please.
motion to accept the recommendations.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Item G is the motion to approve the modification of service authorization 371 to Hill Crescent Group. And this is for air emissions compliance support. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, the board has been asked to support services for various emissions issues. This is, as indicated, specific to the annual emissions inventory. The director and environmental compliance would be the perfect person to speak to this. Take it away, Michelle.
We came to the board in January of 2021 to acquire the services of Hillcrest for emissions inventory services, and they served the authority very well in that capacity. They did odor control staff testing in addition to helping us set up our new emission inventory. And we're asking the board to extend that service authorization to have Hillcrest submit a permit modification that will lower the pH in one of the scrubber units. That will lower it from a greater than 12 to a 9.5. It'll reduce the scaling and will continue to our compliance as well.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so, and if there's no questions, which I don't see any, but I have a motion and a second to approve, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I know this is silly, but it just popped me back to the open house because you had people working on the pH testing. And see, keeping people in touch with what we do here.
pH is very important.
Yes, it is. Okay. Item H is a motion to adopt resolution 2023-10-01, authorizing the condemnation of a parcel formerly owned by David Haddix, and this is for some of the work that we have coming up. So I'll just say, Ms. Williams, you can go ahead.
Madam Chair, well said. All of our property acquisitions are in support of clean water plan programming. Because we have so many today, and given the specific terminology that the staff understands, the board has been briefed multiple times. However, the general public looking at any of these where it indicates that you are authorizing the condemnation, and then less than 2 lines later, and it's purchased in lieu of condemnation, people wonder, what the hell's going on? So, the solicitor will give a brief explanation, which will cover all of these, not that you're going to vote on all of these at the same time. Darren.
Thank you, Arletta. Yes, we do have a number of individual motions and resolutions to ask the board to approve tonight. The real estate transfer tax is the reason why you see a purchase in lieu of condemnation after a resolution authorizing a condemnation. As a municipal authority, the ALCOSAN is exempt from paying real estate transfer taxes on any purchase of property. However, the other party in the transaction is responsible for paying such taxes, and actually in 100%. Therefore, they would request that we pay that amount as part of closing. But an exception in the law for a exemption is a purchase in lieu of condemnation for the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, when we are exercising our incredible power of eminent domain. If we do target a location, as we have with these motions here, and the individuals are forced to sell either through the court process or a negotiated sale, they are given the benefit of doing such without having to pay real estate transfer taxes. So therefore, each of these motions do 2 things. 1, authorizes the condemnation, but then 2, authorizes the payment in lieu of condemnation so as to not have to pay real estate transfer taxes.
Okay, thank you. So that's for lot number 70-R-213. I think that's what I'll make sure to say on all of them.
And you to reference
Very clear.
as stated on the agenda. So
Yes.
if you miss anything, we know.
That's
it's
right.
covered.
That's right. Okay. All right, could I have a motion in a second to approve, please?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll move on to I, which is a motion to adopt this resolution. That's 02-02 for block and lot number 74-R-214 for the same explanation as we've heard. Board,
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have that. And item J, motion to adopt resolution 2023-10-3 for lots 74R 205, 74R 206, 74R 208 for the same purpose. Motion in a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is approved. Item K, a motion to adopt resolution 2023-10-04 for block and lot number 74L9, same purpose.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is approved. Item L, a motion to adopt 2023-10-05 for block and lot number 74L132, same purpose.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Item M, motion for resolution 2023-10-06 for lot number 74L6, same purpose.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote that is approved. Item N is a motion to authorize the executive director to execute a reimbursement agreement with Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for additional security at the Aspenwall Water Treatment Plant during the Aspenwall Sewer Line replacement. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, this is an interesting explanation that the Director of Regional Conveyance, Mike Lichtenstein, will share.
All right, thank you, Arletta, Madam Chair. As stated, this reimbursement agreement is associated with the asphalt sewer replacement project that the board awarded in June to M. O'Haron. Since the inception of this contract, we've been working with PWSA to satisfy their needs. As much as this work is directly against or adjacent to their filtered water reservoir, which has been out there, it's a 44 million gallon filtered water reservoir. So we've been working with them. Much of the work that M. O'Haron has to do is related to the west gate, which is basically an unsecured gate at the bottom half of the clear well, at the bottom end of the clear well. It's located in Aspenwall River, near Aspenwall Riverfront Park. Our contractor has to gain ingress and egress to that site, bring materials through that gate. PWSA early on requested reimbursement for security at that particular gate, which would require, they have a private security company that maintains security at the water treatment plant facility, St. Moritz. They requested that we reimburse them for staffing that gate so that the treatment plant could remain secure at all times. As you know, treatment ever since 9/11, treatment plants are a very, very secure facility associated with homemade security and all those things. So in conjunction with our solicitor here, we've been working on a reimbursement agreement for security and additional staffing at that gate. And Max here has been kind enough to draft that agreement. It's ready to go. The reimbursement is currently capped at $75,000. So that's where we're at. If you can say anything additional, Max.
Just a final point, because this is with PWSA, it will require PUC approval. So after the board votes and after PWSA votes, there will be one more set of eyes on it to make sure it is official.
Okay, thank you. All right, board members, and if no questions, could I have a motion in a second for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's approved. And item O is a motion to ratify the engagement of Saltzman Hughes PC as special counsel to assist ALCOSAN in matters related to the Public Utility Commission regulation of electric and utility. Not election. Ms. Williams?
The Allegheny County Sanitary Authority requires special counsel to assist us in matters related to the Public Utility Commission's regulation of electric utilities. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Can we have a motion and a second to approve, please?
So
Second.
moved.
All
Second.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this has been approved. All right. Do we have any new business? No new business? All right, well, then it looks like we've come to the end of our agenda for today. It's been a long meeting, but full information. And we will adjourn, and our next meeting will be November the 16th.
Thank you all.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Great work, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.